Thanks, Charlotte. Appreciate it. So this is the way we do this is a really quick burst of knowledge, or share with you whatever the topic is. Last week was RFPs. This week's Navigator. Try and keep my head out of the way. And but we'll share the knowledge. 10-15 minutes blitz on Navigator today, and then we'll have 15 minutes Q&A. And go from there. So yeah, so without further ado, I'm going to talk to you about Navigator. I get asked a lot of questions about Navigator, and I've not met anybody yet that's using Navigator properly. So I mean, people are using it and it's there, but really that structure that sits around Navigator is still a bit of a black art for most people. So I'm going to try and cover some of Navigator today, but I'm obviously not going to get it all because there's various sections, and in 50 minutes I just can't get it, but hopefully it's a teaser. It gives you enough of an insight to see that there's a lot more there to Navigator and how useful it could be as you grow your businesses. And before I start, obviously, you know me, Graham runs all our courses, Charlotte coordinates all the courses, Ray's sales director in the UK, and Simon runs our international sales consulting piece and helps coordinate that and bring all that together. So that's the team. Some of them are here today. So agenda, right? What is Navigator? How do we use it? Who shouldn't use Navigator? Let's not beat about the bush. There's some people Navigator's not right for. What can you do with Navigator? A 6-step model overview. Then we'll break that down. Next steps and question and answer at the end. And so I'll just rattle through this. We're going to record it in video so you can go back and you can have a watch. And I've also written an article. So that'll be put out on Monday, and we'll share that with you on Navigator. Actually, that's Charlotte will share it with you on Navigator. So what is the primary goal of LinkedIn Navigator? What does it do? So LinkedIn Navigator, the goal of LinkedIn Navigator is to deepen your ability to engage more effectively with target groups of people. That's what it does. That's what it's brilliant at, right? So it helps you engage more effectively with target groups, not individuals. I mean, it does do individuals, yeah, but it's really engaging on a sort of bigger scale, you know. And the parts of that and some of the sort of like bits to think about are target segments, companies, personas, partners, influencers, existing clients, networks, and groups. So, Navigator holds all this together and allows you to do it in a much simpler fashion. And I couldn't personally imagine life without Navigator. I know Charlotte couldn't, yeah, right, and I know a lot of our team couldn't. You know? So, but let's think about Navigator. Let's think about that marketplace here, right? You know, there's a well-known sort of a marketing philosophy that sits around the available marketplace that can buy your products, and the model it says 30% of people will never be interested in your product. I know we think everybody should be interested in product, but 30% will not, for whatever reason. No money, don't like you, don't like your product, don't like the marketplace, want to do it the old-fashioned way. 30% don't technically have a need at the moment, which is interesting. So they don't have a need for what you do. 30% have a need and are not ready to act, and 7% have a need and are ready to act. 3% have a need and are actively buying, which is what we all fight over with inbound lead generation. All our Google, our YouTube, our advertising, our Instagram, that's the inbound market that 30% of the world are fighting over. And they're touching the 7%, but really they're all fighting over those people that go, I want to buy something now and I know what I want to buy, yeah? Navigator gives you access to the 37%. It allows you to tap into those that have a need, but don't know they have a need, really is the key thing. And the 7% who have a need and ready to act, Navigator allows you to facilitate that, because our objective in our sales model is to be ahead of the curve. Our objective is to engage with contacts before they have a need, so that when they have a need, we're that first point of contact. And that's how we use Navigator. That's the base framework of building out a Navigator model. So 3 channels of lead generation: inbound, I've already mentioned that; outbound and targeted marketing and existing clients. So there's 3 core channels that you can use here, right? And if we look at outbound methods that Navigator supports, referrals, it's brilliant for referrals. There's nothing better than how you can use Navigator, but I'm not going to cover that today, but it is amazing, yeah. Networking. When we go networking, when we do our networking stuff, yeah, right, that's again, Navigator is incredibly supportive of that. LinkedIn, obviously, itself, LinkedIn and Navigator are separate. So LinkedIn and the facilitation of LinkedIn, Navigator supports that, and then partners and the management of partners and influencers and so on and so forth. So who does Navigator not work for? Number one, people that don't have an idea of who their target market segment company persona is. If you don't know that, it's a complete waste of money, right? And there's no point in doing it. You know, I wouldn't bother with it. You need to understand that first. Otherwise, you're probably using the advanced search function, and that's about it, which is okay, right? But it's not really necessary, because if you don't know, someone's got the microphone on. Can we just switch that off? That'd be really helpful, please. Yeah. Number two, no database to speak of. Yeah, right. So if the database is not there, if you've got 300 contacts or 500 contacts on LinkedIn, and you've not really got a database, management of that database can be done in a spreadsheet or done in CRM quite easily. You don't need to do it in Navigator. And then not allocating time to build out your database, yeah, right? If you're not want to grow your database, you don't want to build that a bank of people that you could be talking to, Navigator's a waste of time. Yeah. So see, and again, I don't want you buying a product, yeah, right? That's not the right thing for you, right? Navigator is amazing, but for these three groups, it doesn't work. Okay. 20 Navigator uses. So I wrote down the top 20 that I think are really critical. So I'm going to bore you with this. So sorry, you just have to stick with me. Advanced search, database building, list building, account-based marketing, outbound marketing, lead nurture. Yeah, see, that's your start point. Then we step into client management, referral management, partner management, pipeline management, sales team management, sales collaboration within your teams. Yeah. Then we go course management, event coordination, event invite tracking. I mean, there's just a whole plethora of things that you can do within it to do with events. And then finally, smart links, which I'm not going to cover, but it's a tool that you get within Navigator, which is amazing. And you'll all see this, because we'll send you a smart link on Monday, where you can just see the value of smart link and how it works. Advanced messaging, notes, and CRM support. Yeah, so it supports your CRM system. When you set it up the right way, actually CRM and Navigator should be in sync with each other, you're right, you know, and work together, you're right, and be designed to work together. Use cases, right? So look, before in the past, I've done Navigator stuff, right, which basically tries to cover everything. In this case, I'm just going to do one use case around Navigator, and then from there, you'll get bits that all fit together. But I'm going to go through one basic use case on Navigator. So 5 steps to building out a targeted sales process. So targeted market, really focusing on one area. So number one, define your target market, your persona, your segment that you're going to operate in. Define and start to build your database in CRM and LinkedIn. So you need to do both of them. Build out your lists on Navigator and keep adding them. Build out, keep adding to your lists, keep building your list. It's a constant process once you've built them. Track and nurture and engage with your contacts, right? So you've got to be engaging, right, with the system, yeah, right? You've got to be engaging with people. You've got to be interacting, and you've got to be monitoring that. If you don't, there's no point in building out if you don't have that nurture piece in place. And then just, you can see my head there, follow the process, be consistent, keep going, keep with it. So let's break this down a little bit. Identify your target market. Yeah, so look at your segmentation bases. Who are your target segmentations? Assess your competitive position, potential profit growth in these segmentation pieces, and then choose your target customer segments and define your target companies and personas within that. You know? So this is a really critical piece. It's a pretty big piece of work as well, but you should do this. If you haven't done this, it becomes very difficult because you don't know who your target market is. You haven't done the work that validates who your target market is. I mean, we can all go, my target market is X, but that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about a little bit of work that says, how do I verify that that's actually correct? Okay. Step 2, build your database, right? Look at your segment, look at the persona, look at who's making the decision, who discovers the problem, start to build your databases and lists within your database. So I'll come to lists in a second, but you start to build out your databases, connecting with the right people within the segments, the right personas, and build it. So for example, I have 12,000 connections. I just crossed 12,000 yesterday. And of that, about 8,000, 9,000 of them are decision makers that fit within my target segmentation base. Yeah. So CEOs, CFOs, founders, sales directors, sales managers, salespeople, they like what we do, yeah, right? So obviously that's who I connect with, yeah, right, to interact with. Okay, so step 3, look, examples of lists and building lists out, yeah. So the thing with navigators that allows you to build lists, and then it allows you to look at the lists and see what's in there. And I'll show you what I mean in a second. But webinar attendees, you're all in here today, right? I'll show you where you are, right? But you're attending the webinar. We know you're on Zoom. We've got it there. We've put you on a navigator list. Existing clients, group members, if I'm part of a group, if my partners are all in one list, influencers that we're connected to are in one list, networking groups, yeah, active prospects, active pipeline, target accounts. Yeah. So you see how we've got this breakdown of different lists of people that sit within our target market as such. Yeah? So how do we build a list? Really simple. Okay, you can see on the left here, if you look at, so Charlotte did this, you've got LinkedIn Optimizing, and it actually says LinkedIn Navigator. So you can see how they've built, Annika and Charlotte have built WLN01. That's the name that we give it. That's how we mark it. It sits within CRM as well. So we've got 30, at the point, there was 31 people signed up. 4 had signed up on Zoom. Now, obviously, it's a lot more. But you can see how it's all categorized there within that. So you've got different groups, different structure there. Yeah, right. You know, that sits within that. And then, so you go up here on the right, you create a list. Simple. Okay, create a list, give it a name. It could be existing clients, could be whatever you want to call it. Okay. From there, you go to the list and you search for contacts. So I've done an example here, Mr. Ray Black, right? You know, so Ray, you know, I want to put Ray into a list, yeah, right? You know, I want to add him to one of my lists. So I want to create a list account, and then I'm going to add it to him, and I'm going to search for Ray. Yeah? Okay, so you can see here, it's got add another list at the bottom right, just above my head. So I'll add him to another list, and that's what this looks like. So I'm putting him on my partner list. It doesn't look like you, Ray, that picture, by the way. Anyway, it's fine. So, but I put him in the partner list. So now he goes into that, and Ray is in my partner list. So he's the only one here because it's an example list, just to let you see. What's interesting about this is I can see how many lists Ray's on. Has he attended any events? Is he part of any other groups that I'm a part of? Yeah, right. What is he involved with that I'm involved with? And I can see that in CRM as well, but I can also see it here. And sometimes there's stuff here that's not in CRM. Number 2, I can put notes here. So if I want to put notes and things I want to do, I can put the notes into Navigator. And that's an interesting thing, yeah, right? Because that's something that most people don't use and aren't aware that's available. And then most importantly, I'll come back to that smart link. Yeah, across the top here, you can see leads with team link intro, posted and links. So I can see, has Ray posted in LinkedIn in the last 30 days? So I know what he's doing. I know when he's doing it. Has he changed jobs? Does he share experiences with me? And so on and so forth. So it allows me, if you imagine I've got 80 names in there, I can see which of those 80 is posted in the last 30 days. I can quickly go to them, comment on the post, like a post, interact with them, and then move to the next, the next, the next. And I can manage that list far more effectively. If it's my existing clients, have they changed jobs in the last 90 days? Because that's one of the biggest causes of losing clients is people changing roles and you're not knowing about it. So there's a lot we can do with these lists that allow us to manage databases far more effectively. Got any questions? Just come on, I'm just about done, right? And then come back to me and then we'll answer them at the end. So connecting, what step 4, who does what? Again, selling is complex. Building a BD model is complex. There's 4 basic roles. I'm going to cover them with you, but what should they all be doing? And then I'll explain the 5th. Yeah. So connecting, messaging, list building, inviting, follow-up, metrics. The BDA, which is the business development associate, so junior person, should be organizing this. Every business needs one of these. Yeah. If you don't have one of these, you've got senior people doing the stuff that a junior person should be doing. It doesn't make sense. Someone needs to send the connections out. Someone needs to coordinate and bring it all together. Number 2, salesperson, right? So they need to share content, be inviting, building their database, referrals, networking, booking meetings, updating CRM, updating navigator lists. They've got to be part of that process in conjunction with the BDA. Then the sales manager, which often we forget about delineating what their role is, sharing, connecting, messaging, coaching. And the reason I say sharing, connecting, messaging is they've got to lead by example. If they're not doing it and not physically interacting on Navigator on a daily basis, they won't be able to teach the people that they work with. You've got to be doing it daily. That's what gives you that freshness. And LinkedIn's evolving so quickly. I mean, I just noticed something the other day. They've got a new tool for referring Navigator. That's new, right? That's in a week, yeah, right? That wasn't there a week ago or 2 weeks ago. So it's constantly changing. So they need to be coaching, booking meetings, outbound marketing, and training. They're responsible for training. And then finally, we've got the sales directors. So subject matter experts, the coordination of that, reviewing metrics, collaborating with marketing, messaging, connecting, outbound marketing. Yeah, so they've got this overview and the big picture. And then what brings it together is marketing. My belief is that marketing and sales are one now. They're one function. Everybody has to be working much closer, much more effectively together. Marketing can't just sit there and not say, I'm doing inbound. They're part of the outbound process. But in the same way as when an event's organized, like a webinar, a white paper, inbound marketing, is being done, data, managing events, outbound. If that's all happening, the sales manager's got to engage effectively. The sales director has to, the salesperson. And it's this collaboration between the 5 parties that makes a model work. And Navigator is one of the tools, along with CRM, that holds that together. So, where do we go from here? Look, you've got to manage it and monitor what you're doing, right? So that, for me, sits in a few parts. One is coaching and reviews. So weekly review of the metrics, training on weak areas, coaching in the teams, you're right, and live demos. We have to lead by example. You cannot say, go and do this, because people will not learn and will not be able to do it. There's a lot of subtlety sits around getting it right. As with ourselves, finding how to build the list, how to get it, how do you manage them? It comes with time, you're right. And the sales director has to understand, the sales manager, the salesperson, the BDA, and the marketing all have to really get this. Ongoing outbound lead generation model, networking, partnerships, influencers, existing clients, etc., all need to be managed on a consistent and ongoing basis. And then finally, that ongoing content and engagement model, thought leadership, webinars, white papers, posting, LinkedIn, websites, all have to be coordinated and done it's not a quick fix. This happens to happen every week, every day. It's got to be tracked, it's got to be coached, it's got to be taught, and that behavior patterns have got to be instilled. At the moment, most salespeople connect with people, send a few messages, and that's about it. Yeah, there's more needs to be happening. We can't be doing that. That doesn't work. Yeah, right. That's what everyone does. To make yourself different, you've got to have a different set of behaviors. So, how do we bring it all together? Target account lists, activation. And name is no value if you're not communicating with the contact. Navigator allows you to track this and engage with them easily. Building and qualification, build out the list, prioritize the best contacts, and really develop that. Yeah, right. That whole piece sits within Navigator really nicely. And then finally, nurture. Names take time to be warmed up. It's not a quick fix. You've got to nurture your contacts. You've got to develop your contacts. You've got to bring them forward. And then that converts into a prospect that you can convert into a meeting, which is ultimately what we want. We need meetings. The meetings are the start point of the pipeline of that sales process. So Navigator helps facilitate an unlimited flow of meetings if it's done properly. So anybody out there watching the video, reach out to us. Any questions, and we'll get back to you on that.